My name is Bernadette Washington, and I'm 72 years old. For the past 3 years, I've been living in Meadowbrook Senior Living Facility, a place my daughter Monica calls the best care home in the state. But the truth is much darker than that. Because 1 week ago, my family had me declared mentally incompetent, signed papers committing me to this facility against my will, and locked me away in the dementia ward where I couldn't leave, couldn't call anyone, couldn't fight back. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared my daughter and her husband for what happened exactly 1 week after they locked me away. I was sitting in the common room of the dementia ward, surrounded by patients who genuinely needed to be there, when the facility director walked in with 2 men in expensive suits and a woman holding a briefcase. "Mrs. Washington," the director said nervously, "these gentlemen are from Patterson and Associates law firm, and this is Ms. Chen from the State Attorney General's office. They need to speak with you." Monica and her husband Derek, who'd been visiting to check on me, really to make sure I was still properly locked away, went pale. "What's this about?" Derek demanded. "My mother-in-law is mentally incompetent. She can't sign legal documents or—" "Mr. Hayes," the lead attorney said coldly, "your mother-in-law is not mentally incompetent. She never was. And as of 1 hour ago, a judge has overturned the conservatorship you fraudulently obtained. Mrs. Washington is free to leave." Monica started crying. No, this can't be happening. We had doctors. We had evaluations." "You had doctors you paid to lie," Ms. Chen interrupted. "Doctors who are now under investigation for fraud. Mrs. Washington, you're free to go. And we have several matters to discuss regarding the assets that were taken from you while you were illegally detained." I stood up, smoothed my dress, and looked at my daughter. "1 week, Monica. You locked me away for 1 week. And in that 1 week, everything you and Derek planned, everything you thought you'd gotten away with came crashing down." "Mom, please let us explain." "I don't want explanations. I want my house keys, my car keys, and my checkbook. Now. But before I tell you how I went from being illegally locked in a nursing home to being freed by the Attorney General's office in just 7 days, before I reveal what Monica and Derek had really been planning, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button. Click it. Then smash that like button, because this story is about to show you what happens when people underestimate a sharp-minded elderly woman. Turn on those notifications, that bell icon. You need to hear how 1 week in a nursing home became the worst week of my daughter's life. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. What city? What state? What country? I need to know who's here with me, because what happened to me being locked away by my own family, it happens to thousands of elderly people every year, and most of them never get out. But I did, and I'm going to tell you exactly how. Now let me take you back 3 weeks. Let me tell you how a perfectly healthy, sharp-minded 72-year-old woman ended up trapped in a dementia ward. To understand what happened, you need to understand my life before Monica and Derek decided I was incompetent. I'm Bernadette Washington. I worked as a registered nurse for 45 years before retiring at 67. I'm sharp as a tack. I handle my own finances. I drive. I volunteer at my church. I have an active social life. I'm a widow. My husband, Thomas, died 8 years ago from cancer. He left me well provided for. We owned our house outright, a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial worth about $600,000. We had savings of about $400,000, plus my pension and Social Security. I was comfortable, independent, happy. I have 2 children. My son Marcus, who's 50 and lives in California with his wife and 3 kids, and my daughter Monica, who's 47 and lives 15 minutes away from me. Monica married Derek Hayes 5 years ago. He's her second husband. Her first marriage ended badly when her ex-husband cheated. Derek seemed nice at first, attentive, respectful, a successful real estate developer, he said. But over the past year, I'd noticed changes in Monica. She'd started asking me a lot of questions about my finances, about my will, about my plans for the house. "Mom, this house is too big for you. You should sell it and move somewhere smaller, more manageable." "I like my house, Monica. I've lived here for 35 years. But what if something happens? What if you fall and no one finds you? I have an emergency alert button, and my neighbors check on me daily. Still, I worry. Derek and I think you should consider moving to a senior living community, somewhere with staff, somewhere safe. I don't need staff. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. But Monica kept pushing. Every visit, she'd bring up the house, the money, my safety. 3 months ago, Monica brought Derek to one of our weekly dinners. They had something important to discuss. Mom, Derek and I have been talking. We think it's time for you to add me to your bank accounts, just in case something happens, so I can help manage things. I don't need help managing my money, Monica. I've been handling my own finances for 72 years. But what if you have a medical emergency? What if you can't access your accounts? Then my lawyer handles it. I have everything set up with my estate attorney. Derek spoke up. Mrs. Washington, Monica is just trying to help. She's worried about you. We both are. You're getting older. It's natural to need support. I don't need support. I need my family to stop treating me like I'm senile. The conversation ended badly. Monica left in tears. Derek looked angry. After they left, I called my son Marcus. Marcus, I need your advice. Your sister keeps pressuring me to give her access to my accounts and sell my house. It's making me uncomfortable. That's weird, Mom. Why does she care about your house? She says she's worried about me living alone, but it feels like more than that. Have you checked your credit? Make sure she hasn't already opened accounts in your name or anything. You think Monica would do that? I don't know, Mom, but better safe than sorry. I checked my credit report. Everything looked normal, but Marcus's suspicion planted a seed of doubt. 2 months ago, things escalated. I was at the grocery store when I felt dizzy, really dizzy. I had to sit down. A store employee called an ambulance. At the hospital, they ran tests. Low blood pressure, dehydration. They gave me fluids and sent me home with instructions to drink more water and monitor my blood pressure. But when Monica found out, she acted like I'd had a stroke. Mom, this is serious. You collapsed in public. You could have died. I didn't collapse. I felt dizzy and sat down. The doctors said I was just dehydrated. Dehydration can be a sign of confusion, of not taking care of yourself properly. Monica, I forgot to drink enough water one day. That's all. But she wouldn't let it go. She started calling me 3 times a day to check on me. She showed up unannounced to make sure I was eating properly. It felt less like care and more like surveillance. Then, 6 weeks ago, Monica brought a doctor to my house. Dr. Patricia Simmons, a geriatric specialist. Mom, I asked Dr. Simmons to do a wellness check, just to make sure you're healthy. I just saw my regular doctor last month. I'm fine. Please, Mom, just let her examine you, for my peace of mind. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Dr. Simmons asked me questions, memory tests, cognitive assessments. Mrs. Washington, you seem very sharp. Your memory is excellent. Your cognitive function is normal for your age. Thank you, doctor. Can you tell my daughter that so she'll stop worrying? But after Dr. Simmons left, Monica seemed disappointed rather than relieved. I don't think that doctor was thorough enough, she told Derek that evening. I overheard them talking in my kitchen. We need a second opinion, someone who will actually see the problems. What problems? I demanded, walking into the kitchen. Dr. Simmons said I'm fine. Mom, I think you're showing early signs of dementia. You're forgetful. You're confused. You need proper evaluation. I'm not forgetful or confused. Monica, what is going on with you? She started crying. I'm just worried about you, Mom. Why can't you see that? 4 weeks ago, Monica and Derek brought another doctor. This one didn't even properly examine me, just asked a few questions and left. 2 weeks later, I got served with legal papers. Monica had filed for conservatorship. She was asking a judge to declare me mentally incompetent and give her legal control over my finances and healthcare decisions. I was shocked, devastated. My own daughter was trying to take away my rights. I immediately called a lawyer. Samuel Green, who'd handled my estate planning. Samuel, Monica is trying to have me declared incompetent. Can she do that? She can file for it, but Bernadette, she'd need medical evidence. Proof that you're actually incompetent. Do you have any cognitive issues? None. I'm sharp as I've ever been. Then we'll fight this. I'll need you to get an independent medical evaluation. Someone who's not connected to Monica. Can you do that? Absolutely. I scheduled an appointment with Dr. Robert Chen, a neurologist. He ran extensive tests. Memory, cognition, everything. Mrs. Washington, you're in excellent mental health. There's no sign of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any cognitive impairment. I'll write a detailed report for your lawyer. With Dr. Chen's report, I thought I was safe. I thought the judge would see through Monica's lies. But I didn't know what Monica and Derek had been planning. 3 weeks ago, I had another dizzy spell, this time at home. I called Monica because she'd made me promise to call her if anything happened. She came over with Derek and an ambulance. Mom, you need to go to the hospital. You're not well. I just need to sit down and drink some water. No, you need medical attention. Please, let the paramedics help you. They took me to the hospital. I spent 1 night there for observation. Again, just dehydration and low blood pressure. But when I was discharged the next day, Monica and Derek were there with papers. Mom, we've made arrangements for you to go to Meadowbrook Senior Living, just temporarily, until you're stronger. I'm not going to a nursing home. I'm going home. Mom, the doctor recommends monitored care. No, he didn't. He cleared me to go home. Derek stepped forward. Mrs. Washington, you're not well. You've had 2 episodes in 2 months. You need professional care. I don't need anything except to go home. But they'd already signed the papers. Monica had shown a judge the conservatorship petition. She'd presented medical evidence from doctors I later learned she'd paid off. And the judge had granted temporary conservatorship pending a full hearing. Which meant Monica now had legal authority over me. And she used it to have me committed to Meadowbrook Senior Living. Against my will, against my wishes, against every instinct I had screaming that this was wrong. They took me there that afternoon, not to a regular room, to the memory care unit, the locked dementia ward. This is a mistake, I told the nurses. I don't have dementia. Call my lawyer. Call Samuel Green. Mrs. Washington, your daughter has legal authority. We're following her instructions. Please don't make this difficult. I'm not making anything difficult. I'm being kidnapped. But they didn't listen. They took my phone. They took my purse. They locked me in a room with another woman who genuinely had severe dementia. I spent the first night crying, terrified, wondering how this had happened. The next day, I demanded to see the facility director. I want to call my lawyer. I have rights. Mrs. Washington, you're under a conservatorship. Your daughter is making decisions for you now. My daughter is lying. I'm not incompetent. I need to speak to a judge. That will be addressed at your conservatorship hearing, which is scheduled for 6 weeks from now. 6 weeks. They were going to keep me locked up for 6 weeks before I could even fight this in court. I realized then what Monica and Derek had done. They'd got me locked away so they could do whatever they wanted with my house, my money, my life. And there was nothing I could do about it. Or so I thought. Because what Monica and Derek didn't know, what they couldn't have known, was that I'd prepared for exactly this scenario. 3 years ago, after my husband Thomas died, I'd read an article about elder abuse, about families using conservatorships to steal from elderly relatives. It terrified me, so I'd taken precautions. I'd set up a special trust with my attorney, a trust that would automatically trigger if I was ever declared incompetent without proper medical evidence. I'd given my attorney Samuel Green specific instructions. If anyone ever tried to have me committed or conserved, he was to immediately petition the court for an emergency hearing. He was to contact my son Marcus, and he was to notify the state attorney general's office of potential elder abuse. But there was a problem. Samuel needed to know I'd been committed. and I had no way to contact him from inside the locked ward. Or did I? On my third day at Meadowbrook, I met another patient named Dorothy. She was in her 80s with advanced Alzheimer's, but her grandson visited every single day. I watched him, a young man in his 20s named James. He'd sit with his grandmother for hours, holding her hand, talking to her even though she rarely responded. On his next visit, I approached him. "James, I need your help. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not supposed to be here. I don't have dementia. My daughter had me committed fraudulently so she could take my assets." He looked skeptical. "Ma'am, my grandmother said the same thing when she first arrived." I know how this sounds, but I can prove it. Ask me anything. Test my memory, my cognitive function, I'm completely lucid." He studied me for a moment. Then, "What's your name?" "Bernadette Washington. I'm 72 years old. I live at 847 Maple Street. I have 2 children, Monica Hayes and Marcus Washington. I worked as a registered nurse for 45 years. I retired from St. Michael's Hospital in 2017. My husband Thomas died on March 15, 2017, from pancreatic cancer. I have 3 grandchildren in California I haven't seen in 6 months because my daughter won't let me have phone access." James looked surprised. "You seem pretty sharp." "I am sharp, and I'm trapped here illegally. James, I need you to make a phone call for me to my attorney, Samuel Green. His number is 550-50147. Can you do that?" "I don't know if I should get involved." "Please, you're my only hope. If you don't help me, I'll be stuck here for 6 weeks. And by then, my daughter will have sold my house and emptied my bank accounts. Please." He hesitated. Then, "What do you want me to tell this lawyer?" "Tell him Bernadette Washington is being held at Meadowbrook against her will. Tell him to trigger the emergency protocol. He'll know what that means." James nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll call him, but if this is some kind of scam." "It's not, thank you. Thank you so much." That night, I prayed that James would actually make the call, that Samuel would answer, that my emergency protocol would work. 3 days later, everything changed. Samuel Green showed up at Meadowbrook with an emergency court order demanding my release and an immediate hearing on the conservatorship. The facility director tried to refuse. "We can't release her without her conservator's permission." "You can and you will. This conservatorship was obtained fraudulently. We have medical evidence proving Mrs. Washington is fully competent. And if you don't release her immediately, you'll be named as a defendant in our lawsuit against the family for false imprisonment and elder abuse." They released me into Samuel's custody that afternoon. We went directly to court. Emergency hearing in front of Judge Maria Thompson. Monica and Derek were there with their attorney, looking panicked. "Your Honor," Samuel began, "Bernadette Washington was illegally committed to a memory care facility based on fraudulent medical evaluations. We have evidence that the doctors who declared her incompetent were paid by her daughter to provide false diagnoses." Monica's lawyer objected. "That's a serious accusation with no basis." "We have the canceled checks," Samuel interrupted, presenting documents. "Monica Hayes paid Dr. Patricia Simmons $5,000 and Dr. Gerald Hutchins $7,500 for their evaluations. Both doctors have since been contacted by the state medical board about their practices." Judge Thompson looked at the documents, then at Monica. "Is this true?" "Your Honor, I was just trying to get proper medical care for my mother." "You paid doctors to lie about her mental capacity so you could have her locked away. That's not care. That's abuse." The judge reviewed Dr. Chen's independent evaluation, questioned me directly about my cognitive function, spoke to Samuel about the trust I'd set up specifically to prevent this kind of fraud. Then she made her ruling. The conservatorship is dissolved effective immediately. Mrs. Washington is declared fully competent, and I'm referring this matter to the Attorney General's Office for criminal investigation into potential elder abuse and fraud. That's how, exactly 1 week after being locked away, I walked out of court a free woman. With the Attorney General's office investigating my daughter for elder abuse. And that's when I found out what Monica and Derek had really been planning. Because in that 1 week I was locked away, they'd already started selling my things. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Samuel drove me straight from the courthouse to my house. My hands were shaking as I put the key in the lock, the key Monica had been forced to return to me in court. But when I opened the door, I froze. My living room was nearly empty. The antique furniture Thomas and I had collected over 40 years of marriage, gone. The grandfather clock his father had given us, gone. The paintings on the walls, gone. Even the Persian rugs, gone. "Oh my God," I whispered. "They sold everything." Samuel was already on his phone, documenting the scene with photos. "This is theft. Clear, documented theft. Bernadette, do you have any inventory of what was here?" I have photos from last Christmas. Marcus sent me a digital photo frame and I uploaded pictures of the house. We spent the next hour going room to room. My bedroom furniture, the antique set Thomas had bought for our 25th anniversary, gone. My jewelry box, gone. Family photo albums, gone. Silver flatware, gone. They'd stripped my house of everything valuable. In the kitchen, I found a stack of receipts on the counter. Monica hadn't even bothered to hide them. Estate sale company, $47,000 for furniture and antiques. Jewelry buyer, $18,000 for my wedding ring, engagement ring, and other jewelry. Antique dealer, $31,000 for various items. Total, $96,000 in 1 week. I sank into one of the few remaining chairs, a cheap kitchen chair they'd left behind, and started crying. 40 years of memories, 40 years of collecting beautiful things with my husband, and she sold it all in 1 week. Samuel put a hand on my shoulder. "We're going to get it back, or at least the value of it. This is documented theft." "It's not about the money. Those were my memories. That grandfather clock, Thomas's father gave it to us on our wedding day. My engagement ring, Thomas proposed with that ring 50 years ago. I can't get those specific things back." "I know, but we'll make sure Monica and Derek pay for what they've done." My phone, which Samuel had retrieved from Meadowbrook along with my other belongings, started ringing. Marcus. "Mom, Samuel just called me. Are you okay? I'm booking a flight right now. I'll be there tonight." "Marcus, she sold everything. All our furniture, my jewelry, everything." "What? How could she, Mom? I'm so sorry. I should have been paying attention. I should have visited more often. Maybe I would have seen this coming." "This isn't your fault. You live across the country. You have a family and a job. Monica was the one who was here, who I trusted." "I'm still coming. Tonight, and Mom, we're going to make this right." After I hung up with Marcus, Samuel made more calls. To the Attorney General's office, to the police, to the estate sale company and jewelry buyer. "We're filing criminal charges," he told me. "Theft, fraud, elder abuse, financial exploitation. Monica and Derek are going to prison for this." "I don't want revenge, Samuel. I just want my life back." "Getting your life back requires holding them accountable. Otherwise, they'll try again, or they'll do this to someone else's mother." He was right. This wasn't just about me. It was about stopping them from doing this to other vulnerable seniors. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find 2 police officers. "Mrs. Washington, we're here about the theft report. Can we come in?" They took statements, photographed the empty rooms, collected the receipts Monica had left behind. "Ma'am, this is one of the clearest cases of elder financial abuse I've seen," the older officer said. "Your daughter literally emptied your house while you were locked up. That's not just theft, that's exploitation of a vulnerable adult." "I'm not vulnerable," I said firmly. "I'm perfectly capable. That's why they had to lock me away, because they knew I'd stop them if I was free." "Understood. But legally, while you were under that fraudulent conservatorship, you were classified as vulnerable, which means the charges against your daughter are more serious." After the police left, I sat in my mostly empty living room, trying to process everything. 1 week, In 1 week, my daughter had destroyed my life. Or tried to. Because what Monica didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that the valuable items she'd sold were only a fraction of my assets. The house itself was worth $600,000. My bank accounts had $400,000. My investments were separate. My pension was untouchable. Monica had gotten away with about $96,000 in property, but she'd been planning to get so much more. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Ms. Chen from the Attorney General's office, along with a financial crimes investigator named Detective Marcus Rivera. Mrs. Washington, we need to review all your financial accounts to see what else your daughter may have accessed while she had conservatorship. We sat at my kitchen table, the one piece of furniture too cheap for Monica to bother selling, and went through everything. My checking account. Monica had written herself checks totaling $25,000 in 1 week. My savings account. Monica had attempted to close it and transfer the funds to her own account. The bank had flagged it as suspicious and frozen the transaction. My investment accounts. Monica had called trying to liquidate everything. The financial advisor had refused without my personal authorization. My house. Monica and Derek had contacted a real estate agent about listing it. They'd planned to sell it, pocket the money, and claim I'd agreed to move permanently to the nursing home. She would have gotten everything, I said quietly. If I'd been stuck there for 6 weeks waiting for the hearing, she would have sold my house and emptied my accounts. I would have gotten out to nothing. But you didn't let that happen, Ms. Chen said. You prepared for this, you protected yourself, and now we have evidence of what she intended to do. Detective Rivera looked up from his laptop. Mrs. Washington, I've been tracking your daughter's finances. She and her husband are in serious debt. They owe $400,000 on their house, $80,000 in credit card debt, and they're 3 months behind on payments. They were about to lose everything. So they decided to take everything from me instead. Yes, and they were methodical about it. They researched how to fraudulently obtain conservatorship. They found doctors willing to lie for money. They had a plan for liquidating your assets quickly. This wasn't impulsive, this was premeditated. How long could they go to prison for this? Elder abuse with financial exploitation, fraud, false imprisonment. We're looking at 15 to 20 years. Maybe more if we can prove conspiracy. 15 to 20 years. My daughter, my baby girl who I'd raised and loved and sacrificed for, could spend the next 2 decades in prison. Part of me felt sick, but another part felt she deserved it. That evening, Marcus arrived. He came straight from the airport, walked into the empty house, and just stopped. Mom, oh Mom. We hugged and cried together. I can't believe Monica did this, he said. Our sister, how could she? Greed, desperation, I don't know. But Marcus, she looked me in the eye and had me locked away. She knew I was lucid. She knew I was competent, and she did it anyway. Have you talked to her since the hearing? She's called 17 times. I haven't answered. What would you even say? I don't know. My phone rang again. Monica, again. Marcus grabbed it. Answer it. Let her explain herself. Maybe there's some reason we're not seeing. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mom, Monica was crying. Mom, please, you have to understand. We didn't have a choice. We're losing everything. The house, Derek's business, everything. We needed. You needed to steal from your own mother, to lock me away like a prisoner. We weren't stealing, we were just borrowing. We were going to pay you back. Borrowing? Monica, you sold my wedding ring. You sold the grandfather clock Dad gave us. You can't borrow heirlooms and pay them back. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But Mom, if you press charges, Derek and I will go to prison. Think about what that will do to us, to our lives. What about what you did to my life? I spent a week locked in a dementia ward, Monica. A week thinking I'd never get out. A week watching genuinely sick people and wondering if that's what you were telling everyone I was like. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You devastated me. And I can't just forget that because you're sorry. Please, Please don't let them prosecute us. We'll pay back everything. We'll make it right. Just don't send us to prison. It's not up to me anymore, Monica. You committed crimes, real crimes. The Attorney General is handling it now. Then talk to them. Tell them you don't want to press charges. Why would I do that? So you can try this again in a few years. So you can do this to some other elderly person. We'd never. You did it to me, your own mother. If you do it to me, you'd do it to anyone. I hung up. Marcus was staring at me. She really thought you'd just forgive her and make it all go away. She always thinks she can cry and apologize and everything will be fine. That's how I raised her. Every time she made a mistake, I fixed it for her. I protected her from consequences. And now look what she's become. This isn't your fault, Mom. Isn't it? I enabled her for 47 years. I taught her that she could do anything and Mom would fix it. Maybe if I'd let her face consequences when she was younger, she wouldn't have thought she could do this. The next morning, I had to give a formal deposition to the Attorney General's office, telling them everything. About Monica's questions about my finances, about the pressure to move, about the doctors who'd lied, about being locked away, about coming home to find everything gone. It took 3 hours. Afterward, Ms. Chen pulled me aside. Mrs. Washington, I need to tell you something. Monica and Derek have hired a very expensive attorney. They're going to fight this. Fight it. The evidence is overwhelming. I know, but their attorney is going to argue that Monica genuinely believed you were incompetent, that she was acting in what she thought were your best interests, that she's a devoted daughter who made mistakes but had no criminal intent. That's absurd. She paid doctors to lie. Which will prove, but I need you to be prepared for a trial, for Monica's lawyer to paint you as a confused elderly woman who's angry at her daughter for trying to help, for character attacks, for this to get ugly. It's already ugly. It's going to get uglier. Are you prepared for that? I thought about it, about testifying in court against my own daughter, about watching her try to defend the indefensible. Yes, I'm prepared, because if I don't do this, she'll do it to someone else, and I can't have that on my conscience. Over the next 2 weeks, I started rebuilding my life. I bought new furniture, not antiques. I couldn't bear to try to replace what Thomas and I had collected together. Just simple, comfortable furniture. I had the locks changed on my house. Monica's key no longer worked. I filed a restraining order. Monica wasn't allowed within 500 feet of me or my property. And I started therapy, because being locked away, even for just a week, had been traumatic. I had nightmares about being trapped, about not being believed, about my daughter's face when she'd left me at Meadowbrook, knowing exactly what she was doing. Marcus stayed for 2 weeks, helping me settle back in. His wife and kids came out too. It was good to see my grandchildren, to be reminded that not all family is toxic. Mom, Marcus said before he left to go back to California, I want you to come stay with us, for a while, until this all settles down. I appreciate that, but this is my home. I'm not letting Monica drive me out of my own house. At least install a security system, cameras, something so you feel safe. That's a good idea. We installed cameras covering every entrance, motion sensors, a panic button in every room. I was taking my safety seriously now. 3 weeks after the hearing, Monica and Derek were formally charged. Elder abuse with financial exploitation, fraud, conspiracy, false imprisonment, theft. 8 felony counts total. Their bail was set at $100,000 each. They posted bail and were released pending trial. That same day, I got a letter from Derek's parents. Mrs. Washington, we wanted to reach out personally to say how horrified we are by what our son and your daughter did to you. We had no idea they were in financial trouble. We had no idea what they were planning. If we'd known, we would have stopped them, or at least tried to. We understand if you can't forgive them. What they did was unforgivable, but we wanted you to know that Derek's family is appalled by his actions. We're sorry for what you've been through. James and Martha Hayes. It was a kind letter, more than Monica had managed to say. But it didn't change anything. The trial was set for 3 months away. In the meantime, I focused on my recovery, on rebuilding, on therapy, and on making sure this never happened to anyone else. I contacted the local senior center and offered to give a presentation on elder abuse prevention, on how to protect yourself from family members who might try to exploit you. 50 seniors showed up to my first talk. I told them my story, about the warning signs, about the doctors Monica had paid off, about the importance of having trusted people outside your immediate family who can advocate for you. If I hadn't set up that emergency protocol with my attorney, I told them, I'd still be locked up, and my daughter would have everything. You need to protect yourselves. You need to have plans in place, because family doesn't always mean safety. After the presentation, a dozen people came up to thank me, to share their own stories of family members trying to take advantage. One woman, probably 85, grabbed my hand. My grandson keeps asking me to add him to my bank account, says it's for emergencies, but I've been uncomfortable about it. After hearing you, I'm definitely saying no. Good, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I gave 3 more presentations over the next month. Each time, more people showed up. I was turning my trauma into something positive, something that might protect other vulnerable seniors. 6 weeks after the charges were filed, Monica's attorney made a plea deal offer. Monica and Derek would plead guilty to reduced charges. They'd each serve 3 years in prison, pay full restitution of $121,000, the money plus the value of items sold, and be placed on probation for 5 years after release. Ms. Chen called to discuss it. It's a good deal, Mrs. Washington. It guarantees conviction and prison time. If we go to trial, there's always a risk a jury might be sympathetic. 3 years, that's it, for what they did. I know it seems light, but 3 years is still significant, and they'll have felony convictions. They'll lose their professional licenses. They'll struggle to find employment. Their lives will be permanently impacted. What do you recommend? I think we should counteroffer. 5 years each, full restitution, and mandatory community service working with elder abuse prevention programs after release. I like that. They should have to face what they did, have to help prevent others from doing the same thing. The counteroffer was made. Monica and Derek's lawyer took it back to them. I waited. 2 days later, I got a call from someone I wasn't expecting. Derek. Mrs. Washington, I know I'm not supposed to contact you because of the restraining order, but I needed to call, to tell you something. You're violating the restraining order right now. I know, but this is important. Monica didn't want you to know this, but I think you deserve to know. Know what? This wasn't Monica's idea. It was mine. I'm the one who researched conservatorships. I'm the one who found the doctors willing to lie. I'm the one who pushed for it. Monica went along with it because I convinced her we had no choice, because I told her we were going to lose everything if we didn't. Why are you telling me this? Because Monica's pregnant. She just found out. And Mrs. Washington, I can't let her go to prison for 5 years for something that was my idea. I can't let my child be born while its mother is in prison. I sat down, my head spinning. Monica's pregnant. 10 weeks. She hasn't told anyone yet, but if she goes to prison for 5 years. Mrs. Washington, please, I'll take the full blame. I'll plead guilty to everything and say Monica was coerced. Just please don't let her go to prison while she's pregnant. Derek, you're asking me to let my daughter, who locked me away, sold my belongings, and tried to steal everything I have, walk free because she's pregnant. I'm asking you to show mercy, for the sake of your grandchild. After he hung up, I sat there for a long time. Monica was pregnant. I was going to be a grandmother again. To a child whose parents might both be in prison. I called Samuel. We need to talk about the plea deal. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Samuel came to my house that evening. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where we discovered Monica's theft 6 weeks ago. "Derek called me," I said. "Monica's pregnant." Samuel's expression didn't change, and he's trying to use that to get leniency. Is it working? Am I supposed to feel sorry for her now? That depends, do you? I thought about it, about Monica as a little girl, about holding her when she was born, about all the Mother's Days and birthdays and Christmases, about her locking me in a dementia ward and selling my wedding ring. I feel sorry for the baby, but Monica, I don't know what I feel. The pregnancy doesn't change what she did. It doesn't erase the crime. But Samuel, if she goes to prison for 5 years, she'll give birth in prison. The baby will spend its first years without a mother. Is that what I want? What do you want, Bernadette? I want my daughter to face consequences for what she did, but I don't want an innocent baby to suffer. Those two things might be incompatible. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Samuel said, "There might be another option. House arrest instead of prison, electronic monitoring. She'd be confined to her home, but she could have the baby and raise it. She'd still be punished. House arrest for 5 years is no joke. But the baby wouldn't be separated from its mother." Would the Attorney General agree to that? Maybe, if we frame it as being in the best interest of the unborn child, and if Derek accepts the full prison sentence without house arrest. He takes the punishment, she takes responsibility but stays with the baby. That seems fair, more fair than they deserve. I'll propose it to Ms. Chen. After Samuel left, I called Marcus. "Monica's pregnant." "What? When did you? How do you know?" "Derek called me. He wants me to show mercy because of the pregnancy." "Are you kidding me? They lock you up, steal from you, and now they want mercy because Monica's pregnant. That's manipulation, Mom." "I know, but Marcus, the baby didn't do anything wrong." "The baby isn't born yet, and even if it is, that's not your responsibility. Monica made her choices." "I know, but I can't stop thinking about it. About a baby being born in prison. About my grandchild growing up visiting its mother behind bars. That's what Monica's counting on. She's using the pregnancy to make you feel guilty. Don't fall for it. What if it's not manipulation? What if she's genuinely scared? Then she should have thought about that before she committed multiple felonies against her own mother. Marcus was right. I knew he was right. But I couldn't shake the image of a baby, my grandchild, innocent in all of this. The next day, Samuel called with an update. "Ms. Chen is willing to consider the house arrest option, but she has conditions." "What conditions?" "First, Derek has to accept the full 5-year prison sentence with no possibility of early release. Second, Monica has to allocate responsibility in court. She has to admit what she did and why. No minimizing, no excuses. Third, Monica pays full restitution from her own assets, selling her car, jewelry, whatever she has. Fourth, after house arrest ends, she does 5 years of probation, including mandatory community service in elder abuse prevention. And fifth, you have to agree to it. Ms. Chen won't offer house arrest without your consent." "Why does my consent matter?" "Because you're the victim. The Attorney General's office won't make a deal that the victim opposes. It looks bad politically." I thought about the conditions. Derek goes to prison for 5 years. Monica admits everything in court. They pay me back. She does community service, and I get to decide. Yes. When do I have to decide? The plea hearing is in 3 days. We need an answer by tomorrow. That night I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about Monica as a baby, as a little girl, as a teenager. Where had I gone wrong? What had I done that made her think this was acceptable? Or had I not done anything wrong? Was this just who Monica had become as an adult, independent of how I'd raised her? I called my sister Dolores. She lived in Florida, but we talked every week. "Dolores, I need your advice." I explained everything. The pregnancy, the plea deal options, my dilemma. "Bernie, do you want Monica to go to prison?" she asked. "I want her to understand what she did, to face consequences, to never do this to anyone else." "That's not what I asked. Do you want your daughter in prison? No, of course not. She's my daughter, but she hurt you. Deeply. And you're struggling between being a mother and being a victim. Yes. Here's what I think. You can be both. You can demand justice and still show mercy. Those aren't opposites, Bernie. Let her do house arrest. Let her have the baby. But make sure the punishment is real. Make sure she knows she got mercy, not permission. How do I make sure she knows the difference? You tell her, face to face, before you agree to the deal. I thought about that. I haven't seen her since the courthouse, since she begged me not to press charges. Then maybe it's time, not to reconcile, not to forgive, just to make sure she understands exactly what she's getting and why. The next morning, I called Monica. Mom, she sounded shocked that I'd called. Mom, I'm so glad you. I'll agree to house arrest instead of prison, for the sake of your baby, but I have conditions. Anything, I'll do anything. First, I want to meet with you, in person, with lawyers present, to make sure you understand what you did and why you're getting mercy you don't deserve. Okay, yes, when? Today, at Samuel's office, 3 o'clock. I'll be there. At 3 o'clock, I walked into Samuel's conference room. Monica was already there with her attorney. Derek was there too, looking haggard. Monica looked different, paler, thinner despite being pregnant, scared. Mom, she started to stand. Sit down. I'm not here for a reunion. I'm here to set terms. Samuel closed the door. We all sat. Monica, I began, I'm willing to agree to house arrest for you instead of prison, but you need to understand why. Because of the baby. No, not because of the baby, because I'm choosing mercy. Mercy you don't deserve. Mercy I'm giving you despite what you did to me. Tears started rolling down Monica's face. I want you to understand something. You locked me in a dementia ward. You looked at me, your mother who raised you, who sacrificed for you, and you had me locked away like I was nothing. Like I didn't matter. Like I wasn't a person. I'm sorry. I'm not finished. You sold my wedding ring. The ring your father gave me 50 years ago. You sold the grandfather clock his father gave us on our wedding day. You sold furniture we'd collected over 40 years of marriage. You sold my memories for cash. We were desperate. Desperation doesn't excuse cruelty. Desperation doesn't excuse looking your mother in the eye and lying to her. Desperation doesn't excuse paying doctors to declare a healthy woman incompetent. Monica was sobbing now. Derek had his head in his hands. If it weren't for the baby, for my grandchild who didn't choose any of this, I'd let you go to prison. And I wouldn't feel guilty about it, because you earned it. I know, Monica whispered. I know we did. But I'm not going to punish an innocent baby for your crimes. So here's what's going to happen. Derek goes to prison for 5 years. You do 5 years of house arrest. You allocate responsibility in court. You admit everything you did. You pay back every penny. You do community service in elder abuse prevention for 5 years after house arrest ends. And most importantly, you never, ever contact me without my permission. Monica looked up sharply. What? You heard me. You're not my daughter anymore, Monica. You're a criminal who happens to share my DNA. When the baby is born, if I choose to have a relationship with my grandchild, I'll contact you to arrange it. But you don't call me. You don't come to my house. You don't act like we're family. Mom, please. Those are my terms. Take them or spend 5 years in prison. Your choice. Monica looked at her lawyer. He nodded slightly. I accept, she whispered. Good. Samuel will notify the Attorney General's office. I stood to leave. Mom, Monica said, can I ask you something? What? Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I looked at my daughter, at the woman I'd raised, who'd become someone I didn't recognize. I don't know, maybe someday, but forgiveness takes time, and right now I don't even like you. I walked out. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and cried, not for Monica, for myself, for the relationship I'd lost, for the daughter I'd thought I had who apparently never existed. The plea hearing was 2 days later. I sat in the courtroom, watching Monica and Derek stand before the judge. The prosecutor presented the plea agreement. Derek, 5 years in federal prison. Full restitution, no early release. Monica, 5 years of house arrest, full restitution, 5 years of probation and community service afterward. Ms. Hayes, the judge said, do you understand that by accepting this plea deal, you're admitting guilt to all charges? Yes, Your Honor. And you're prepared to allocate responsibility, to explain what you did and why? Yes, Your Honor. Proceed. Monica took a deep breath. Your Honor, my husband and I were in serious debt. We were about to lose everything. And instead of dealing with our financial problems responsibly, we decided to steal from my mother. Her voice was steady, clearer than I'd expected. We researched how to fraudulently obtain conservatorship. We found doctors willing to lie about my mother's mental capacity in exchange for money. We deliberately had her committed to a locked memory care facility so we could access her assets without her being able to stop us. The judge was taking notes. While she was locked up, we sold her belongings for $96,000. We wrote checks from her account totaling $25,000. We attempted to close her savings account and transfer $400,000 to our own account. We contacted a real estate agent about selling her house worth $600,000. Our plan was to liquidate all her assets, take the money, and leave her with nothing when she was eventually released. Why did you target your own mother? The judge asked. Because she was convenient. She lived alone. She trusted me. She'd always helped me when I was in trouble. I thought I could manipulate her. And when I realized I couldn't manipulate her into giving me money voluntarily, I decided to take it by force. Do you understand the harm you caused? Yes, Your Honor. I locked my mother in a facility where she was surrounded by people with severe dementia. I made her feel helpless and trapped. I stole items that had deep emotional meaning to her. I violated her trust in the worst possible way. And I did it all deliberately, knowing exactly what I was doing. Why should you not go to prison? I don't have a good reason, Your Honor. I deserve to go to prison, but I'm pregnant. And my mother, despite what I did to her, has shown me mercy for the sake of my unborn child. I'm accepting house arrest not because I deserve it, but because she's choosing to give me a chance I don't deserve. The judge turned to me. Mrs. Washington, you're the victim in this case. Do you want to make a statement? I stood up. Yes, Your Honor. I walked to the front of the courtroom, looked at Monica and Derek, looked at the judge. Your Honor, I'm agreeing to house arrest for my daughter for one reason only, my grandchild. That baby deserves a mother, even if that mother is a criminal. But I want to be clear. This is mercy, not forgiveness. My daughter destroyed our relationship. She destroyed my trust. And she destroyed items that can never be replaced, items with emotional value far beyond their monetary worth. I understand, Mrs. Washington. I'm agreeing to this plea deal with conditions. I want my daughter to understand that she's getting something she doesn't deserve, that she's receiving grace, not permission, and that if she ever tries something like this again, to me or to anyone else, I'll be the first person advocating for maximum prison time. Noted. Miss Hayes, do you understand what Mrs. Washington just said? Yes, Your Honor, Monica whispered. Mr. Hayes, do you have anything to say? Derek stood. Your Honor, this was my idea. I pushed for it. I convinced Monica we had no choice. If anyone deserves the full punishment, it's me. I'm accepting 5 years in prison and I'm not asking for leniency. What I did to Mrs. Washington was unforgivable. The judge reviewed the paperwork, signed the order. Derek Hayes, you are sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. You will pay restitution of $60,500 to Mrs. Washington. Report to federal custody in 2 weeks. Monica Hayes, you're sentenced to 5 years of house arrest with electronic monitoring, followed by 5 years of probation. During probation, you will complete 500 hours of community service working with elder abuse prevention programs. You will pay restitution of $60,500 to Mrs. Washington. House arrest begins immediately. You may not leave your residence except for medical appointments and court-ordered obligations. The judge banged the gavel. This case is concluded. I watched as they fitted Monica with an ankle monitor right there in the courtroom. Watched as Derek was led away in handcuffs to begin processing for federal prison. And I walked out of that courthouse feeling empty. Not victorious, not satisfied, just empty. In the parking lot, Samuel found me. "How are you feeling?" "I don't know. I thought I'd feel better, like justice had been served, but I just feel sad." "That's normal. You lost a daughter today." "I lost her a long time ago. I just didn't know it." That evening, Marcus called. "Mom, I saw the news coverage. House arrest for Monica. Are you okay with that?" I had to be, for the baby. "You're a better person than I am. I would have let her rot in prison." Maybe, but I couldn't live with myself if I punished an innocent child for its mother's crimes. What happens now? Now I rebuild. Again, I've gotten good at it. And Monica. Monica spends 5 years locked in her house, then 5 years on probation. And maybe, someday, if she actually changes, we can have some kind of relationship. But I'm not holding my breath. 3 weeks after the plea hearing, I got a letter from Monica. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. "Mom, I'm writing this from my house where I'll spend the next 5 years. I can see outside, but I can't go outside. I can see freedom, but I can't have it. And I deserve that. I've been in therapy, mandatory as part of my house arrest. And the therapist asked me to write down what I was thinking when I did what I did. So I'm going to tell you, even though it doesn't excuse anything. When Derek and I started having financial problems, I panicked. We were going to lose everything. And I kept thinking about how you always had money, how you never struggled, how you had this big house and savings and security. And I felt jealous, angry even. Why did you get to be comfortable while I was drowning? Why did you get to keep everything Dad left you while I was losing everything I'd built? It wasn't rational, it wasn't fair, but that's what I felt. And then Derek suggested the conservatorship idea. And at first I said no. I said it was crazy, but he kept pushing, kept saying you'd never know, that you'd be taken care of in the nursing home, that we'd only take what we needed to survive. I knew it was wrong. I knew it the whole time. But I convinced myself that I deserved it, that you owed it to me somehow, that I was your daughter and you should help me. But you did help me, Mom. For 47 years, you helped me. You sacrificed for me, and instead of being grateful, I wanted more. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know sorry doesn't give you back your wedding ring or the grandfather clock or your sense of safety. But I am sorry. I'm going to have this baby in 6 months. And every day, I think about what kind of mother I want to be. I don't want to be the kind of mother who raises a child who could do what I did. I want to be better. I want to change. I know you don't believe me. I know you have no reason to believe me. But I'm going to try anyway. Not for you, for me, and for my baby. Monica. I read the letter 3 times. Part of me wanted to tear it up, to ignore it completely. But another part of me saw something I hadn't expected. Accountability. Not excuses, not justifications, just honesty about what she'd been thinking. It didn't change what she'd done. It didn't make me forgive her. But it was a start. Maybe. I put the letter in a drawer and went back to my life. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. 6 months passed. 6 months of rebuilding my life, while Monica sat in her house under electronic monitoring and Derek served time in federal prison. I focused on my work with the senior center. My presentations on elder abuse prevention had grown into a regular monthly workshop. Dozens of seniors attended each session, sharing their own stories, learning how to protect themselves. One afternoon, after a particularly well-attended workshop, an older gentleman approached me. He looked to be in his 80s, distinguished, with kind eyes. "Mrs. Washington, my name is Harold Chen. I'm a lawyer, retired now. I wanted to tell you that what you're doing here is remarkable." "Thank you. I just don't want anyone else to go through what I went through." "Have you ever considered expanding this program? taking it statewide. I know several organizations that would fund this kind of education. I hadn't thought about it. I'm just one person. One person who has a powerful story and the courage to tell it. Mrs. Washington, you could help thousands of people. I thought about that conversation for days. Could I really expand this? Make it bigger? I called Samuel. What would it take to start a nonprofit for elder abuse prevention education? Filing paperwork with the state, creating a board of directors, setting up proper financial structures. Why? Because someone suggested I expand my workshops, and I think I want to. I think that's a wonderful idea. And Bernadette, I'd be honored to serve on your board. Over the next 2 months, I established the Bernadette Washington Foundation for Elder Protection. We filed the paperwork, created a website, started fundraising. Harold Chen not only joined the board, he donated $50,000 to get us started. Other donations followed. People who'd heard my story, people who'd been victimized themselves, people who wanted to prevent this from happening to others. Within 3 months, we had $200,000 in funding, enough to hire a part-time coordinator and start offering workshops throughout the state. I was 73 years old and starting a nonprofit organization, building something meaningful from the worst experience of my life. One evening, my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera before answering, old habits from those early days after being released. It was a young woman, maybe 25, holding a clipboard. I opened the door. Can I help you? Mrs. Washington, my name is Jennifer Morrison. I'm a graduate student studying elder law. I read about your foundation and I wondered if you'd be willing to let me volunteer. I could help with workshops, with outreach, whatever you need. What's your interest in elder law? My grandmother. 3 years ago, my uncle had her declared incompetent and took everything. By the time we figured out what was happening, it was too late. She died 6 months ago in a state-run facility, penniless. I don't want that to happen to anyone else. I looked at this young woman who'd lost her grandmother the way I'd almost been lost. Come in, let's talk. Jennifer became our first official volunteer, then our first employee when funding allowed. She brought energy and passion and a personal understanding of why this work mattered. The foundation grew. By the end of the year, we'd given 50 workshops across the state, helped over 200 seniors understand their rights and protect their assets, connected dozens of people with legal resources when they suspected abuse. I was busier than I'd been in years, and happier. I'd turned my trauma into purpose. Then, 7 months after the plea hearing, I got an unexpected call. Mrs. Washington, this is Dr. Patricia Lewis from Memorial Hospital. I'm calling because Monica Hayes was admitted 2 hours ago. She's in labor. My heart jumped. Is she okay? She and the baby are both doing well so far. She asked me to call you. She said you'd want to know. Yes, thank you for calling. After I hung up, I sat there, uncertain. Monica was having the baby, my grandchild. Should I go to the hospital? Did I want to? I called Marcus. Mom, what do you want to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to see the baby. Part of me doesn't want to see Monica at all. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You can go to the hospital, meet the baby, and keep your boundaries with Monica. Can I? Yes, you can be a grandmother without being Monica's mother. You can love the baby without forgiving what she did. I thought about that. You're right, this baby is innocent. Whatever I decide about Monica, the baby deserves a grandmother. I drove to the hospital, stood outside Monica's room, gathering courage. Then I walked in. Monica was in the bed, exhausted, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in a pink blanket. Mom, she said, tears streaming down her face. You came. I came for the baby, not for you. I understand. I walked closer, looked down at the infant in Monica's arms. She was beautiful, tiny, perfect, with a tuft of dark hair and Thomas's nose. What's her name? Bernadette. I named her after you, if that's okay. I felt tears forming. You named her after me. You gave me mercy I didn't deserve. You gave me the chance to have my baby and raise her. I wanted her to carry your name, to remind me every day of what real strength and grace look like. I reached out and touched the baby's tiny hand. She gripped my finger instinctively. Can I hold her? Please. Monica carefully transferred little Bernadette into my arms. The baby stirred but didn't cry. I looked down at my granddaughter, at this new life, at possibility and innocence and hope. Hello, little one, I whispered. I'm your grandma, and I promise you something right now. I'm going to make sure you grow up knowing the difference between right and wrong, between taking and earning, between using people and loving people. I looked up at Monica. I'll be in her life, but we need to establish boundaries. Anything, whatever you want. I'll visit once a week, here at your house since you're under house arrest. I'll spend time with Bernadette. But you and I, we're not going to pretend everything is fine. We're not going to play happy family. I'm here for her, not for you. I understand. And if you ever try to manipulate me using this baby, if you try to guilt me or pressure me or use her as leverage, I'm gone. Permanently. Understood? Yes, I promise I won't. Over the next several months, I visited little Bernadette every week, watched her grow, held her, rocked her, sang to her. And slowly, very slowly, I started having actual conversations with Monica. Not about the past, not about what she'd done, just about the baby, about being a mother, about the challenges of raising a child while under house arrest. Monica was different, quieter, more thoughtful. She'd lost weight, house arrest had been hard on her. The electronic monitor on her ankle was a constant reminder of her crimes. Mom, she said one day while I was feeding Bernadette, I'm doing the elder abuse prevention training as part of my community service, learning about warning signs and legal protections and every session, I see myself. I see what I did to you in every case study they present. It's horrifying to see my own actions through that lens, to realize I was a textbook case of financial exploitation. Good, you should be horrified. I am, and Mom, I want you to know, I'm volunteering extra hours beyond what's required. I'm talking to other people who have committed these crimes, trying to understand why we did it, trying to prevent others from going down the same path. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know I'm changing, really changing, not just going through the motions to satisfy the court. I'm actually trying to become a better person. I looked at my daughter, at the woman who'd locked me away, who'd sold my wedding ring, who'd stolen from me. And for the first time since the courthouse, I saw something other than a criminal. I saw someone who was genuinely trying to make amends. It didn't erase what she'd done. It didn't make us okay, but it was something. Keep trying, I said. For Bernadette's sake, she deserves a mother who understands right from wrong. I will, I promise. 2 years passed. 2 years of weekly visits with Bernadette. 2 years of watching Monica slowly transform from the person who'd betrayed me into someone I didn't quite recognize but didn't completely hate. Derek was released from prison after serving 3 years with good behavior. He moved into a halfway house, not back home with Monica. Their marriage had ended during his incarceration. I couldn't stay married to him, Monica told me. Every time I looked at him, I saw the person who'd convinced me to betray you. I know I made my own choices. I know I'm responsible. But Derek was the catalyst, and I couldn't forgive him for that. Do you want me to feel sorry for you? No, I just wanted you to know. We're divorced. He sees Bernadette twice a month, supervised visits, but he's not part of my life anymore. The Bernadette Washington Foundation continued to grow. We expanded to neighboring states, trained over 500 seniors in 2 years, helped identify and report dozens of cases of suspected elder abuse. I was invited to speak at conferences, to consult with legislators on elder protection laws, to train social workers and lawyers and healthcare providers on recognizing and preventing elder abuse. At 75 years old, I'd become an advocate, an activist, a voice for vulnerable seniors who couldn't speak for themselves. And it all started because my daughter locked me away. 3 years after the plea hearing, Monica's house arrest ended. She was still on probation for 2 more years, but she could leave her house. Could go to the grocery store, to the park with Bernadette, to her mandated community service without an ankle monitor tracking her every move. I went to her house the day the monitor was removed, watched as the officer cut it off. Monica burst into tears. I can go outside. I can take my daughter to the park. I can be free. You're not free, I reminded her. You're on probation. You still have to report to a probation officer. You still have restrictions. You're still paying for what you did. I know, but Mom, I can take Bernadette outside. I've spent 3 years watching her through the window, wishing I could take her to the playground. And now I can. Then take her. Show her the world you almost took from me. Monica's face crumpled. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I say it every time I see you, and I know it's not enough, but I don't know what else to say. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. 3 years of house arrest had changed her. She was thinner, older looking. The arrogance and entitlement I'd seen before her arrest were gone. In their place was humility, and something that looked like genuine remorse. Monica, I need to tell you something. Okay. I don't trust you. I may never trust you again. What you did destroyed something fundamental between us. You can't steal from your mother, lock her away, and expect things to just go back to normal. I know. But I don't hate you anymore. For a long time, I did. I hated you for what you did to me. But somewhere along the way, watching you with Bernadette, watching you do the work, actually do the work of changing, I stopped hating you. Monica was crying. Does that mean we can? Can we try to rebuild something? Maybe, slowly, with boundaries. I'm not going to pretend the past didn't happen. I'm not going to act like we're fine. But maybe we can build something new, something based on honesty instead of obligation. I'd like that, if you're willing to try. I'm willing, for Bernadette, and maybe eventually for us. That evening, I sat on my back porch, the porch I'd rebuilt after Monica sold all my original furniture, and thought about the journey from being locked away to where I was now. 3 years ago, Monica and Derek had locked me in a dementia ward. They'd stolen from me. They'd tried to take everything. 1 week later, everything changed. I was freed. They were charged. Justice was served. But the real change took longer than 1 week. It took 3 years of rebuilding, 3 years of learning to turn trauma into purpose, 3 years of deciding who I wanted to be after the worst betrayal of my life. I thought about little Bernadette, about how I'd promised to teach her the difference between right and wrong. And I realized I'd been teaching Monica the same lessons, not through words but through actions, through showing her what real strength looked like, what mercy looked like, what accountability looked like. Monica had tried to take everything from me. Instead, she'd inadvertently given me purpose, a mission, a reason to help others avoid what I'd survived. My phone rang. Marcus. Hey, Mom, just checking in. How are you? I'm good, really good. Monica's house arrest ended today. How do you feel about that? Surprisingly okay, I think. I think she's actually changed. You're more forgiving than I am. It's not forgiveness exactly. It's acceptance. Acceptance that she did something terrible, faced consequences, and is genuinely trying to be better. I can accept that without forgetting what happened. I'm proud of you, Mom. What you've built, the foundation, the way you've handled all of this. You're amazing. I didn't feel amazing when I was locked in that facility. But you fought back. You prepared for the possibility of abuse, and when it happened, you had a plan. You didn't just survive, you transformed the experience into something meaningful. After we hung up, I thought about what Marcus had said. I had transformed it. I'd taken the worst week of my life, the week I spent locked away, and turned it into a catalyst for change. Not just for me, for hundreds of other seniors who were now better protected because of the education my foundation provided. 5 years after Monica's arrest, her probation ended. She was finally completely free of legal supervision. By then, Bernadette was 5 years old. A bright, funny, loving little girl who called me Grandma B and spent every Saturday with me. Monica had completed her community service, over 1,000 hours beyond what was required. She'd become one of the most requested speakers for elder abuse prevention programs. Her testimony as someone who'd committed these crimes was powerful. "I was the villain in my mother's story," she'd say at workshops. "I was the daughter who betrayed her trust, stole from her, and tried to take away her freedom. And I'm here to tell you it started small. Little requests for money, little questions about her finances, testing boundaries. And when she didn't stop me, I pushed further, until I convinced myself I was entitled to everything she had." Her honesty resonated with people. Adult children who were starting to feel entitled to their parents' assets would hear Monica's story and recognize themselves. Seniors would hear it and recognize warning signs in their own families. Monica had turned her crimes into cautionary tales that protected others. It still didn't erase what she'd done, but it was something. On the 5-year anniversary of my release from Meadowbrook, I organized a special event. A fundraiser for the foundation at the same hotel where I'd held my first presentation years ago. 200 people attended, seniors I'd helped, volunteers, board members, donors. And Monica, standing in the back watching. I gave a speech about the journey, about being locked away, about 1 week changing everything, about building purpose from pain. 5 years ago, I was trapped, powerless, scared. My own daughter had betrayed me in the worst way possible, and for 1 week I thought my life was over, that I'd never escape, that I'd die in that facility, labeled as incompetent while my family stole everything I'd worked for. But 1 week later, everything changed, not because justice was swift, it wasn't, but because I'd prepared. I'd protected myself. I'd made sure that if anyone tried to exploit me, there were safeguards in place. And that's what I want for all of you. Not to live in fear of your family, but to live with confidence that you're protected, that you have resources, that you have people who will advocate for you. The audience applauded. After the speech, Monica approached me. "Mom, can we talk outside?" We walked out to the hotel's garden, sat on a bench. "I wanted to tell you something," Monica said. "I'm getting married." "What? To who?" "His name is Robert. He's a therapist. We met at one of the community service programs. He was leading a session on rehabilitation and redemption. We started talking. And he saw me. Not just the criminal I'd been, but the person I'm trying to become." "Does he know what you did?" "Everything. I told him on our second date. I figured if that scared him away, better to know early. But it didn't. He said everyone deserves a chance to change, and he's seen me do the work." "Are you happy?" "I am. For the first time in years, I'm actually happy. Not because everything's perfect, but because I'm at peace with who I am, the good and the bad." "I'm glad, Monica." "Can I ask you something? Would you come to the wedding?" I thought about that. About sitting in a church watching my daughter get married. About celebrating her happiness after everything she'd done. "Yes, I'll come. Not because everything's fine between us, but because you're still my daughter, and you've worked hard to change." "Thank you, Mom. That means everything." 6 months later, I sat in a small church watching Monica marry Robert. Bernadette was the flower girl, proudly walking down the aisle in her little white dress. It wasn't the relationship I'd once had with Monica. That relationship was gone forever. But this careful, boundaried, honest relationship we'd built, it was something. That night, back at home, I looked at the photographs on my new mantle. Pictures of Bernadette, pictures from foundation events, a picture of Thomas that I'd managed to recover from Monica's house after everything. And I thought about the journey, from being locked away to standing at my daughter's wedding, from victim to advocate, from broken to rebuilt. They'd locked me away, thinking it would be the end of my story. Instead, it was the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where I was stronger, more purposeful, more determined than ever. Because that 1 week, that terrible, frightening, devastating week, had changed everything. It had shown me what I was capable of surviving. It had revealed who in my life could be trusted and who couldn't. It had given me purpose in protecting others from the same fate. And it had proven that even at 72 years old, locked in a dementia ward, betrayed by my own daughter, I wasn't finished. I was just beginning. The Bernadette Washington Foundation for Elder Protection went on to help thousands of seniors over the next decade. We lobbied for stronger laws. We trained healthcare providers, social workers, and law enforcement. We created a hotline for reporting suspected abuse. And every single person we helped, every senior we protected, every family we educated, they were all part of my legacy. A legacy that started the day they locked me away and changed forever 1 week later. If this story touched you, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more emotional stories like this. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Somewhere out there, I might be reading.